During the 2018 free agency, Paul George signing with the Clippers was the biggest news in the NBA. The Clippers were like, it was worth it. The picks were hard to give up, but Danilo Gallinari and that kid we just drafted last year, good deal. Well, they were wrong. The kid turned out to be one of the best players in the league today, ending up second in the MVP race. He went from scoring 10 points per game in his rookie season to scoring 30 plus for 2 years in a row. Yes, that kid was none other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Hello basketball fans and welcome to Hoop Vision. Today, we're talking about the player who experienced the biggest leap in terms of skill and stardom in just a couple of seasons. So let's try to figure out his secret to such an improvement. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Takes only a second, costs nothing, and will give you access to more basketball stories. SGA's childhood was a good indicator he could become a professional athlete one day. His mom was a track athlete who competed in the 1992 Summer Olympics representing the Caribbean island Antigua and Barbuda. His dad was also a solid athlete with a basketball background, having won the Toronto City Championship as a high school player and later went on to coach his son. However, don't think all of this gave Shai an easy pathway to playing basketball. At first, he couldn't make the junior team at St. Thomas More and had to settle for playing on the school's midget squad. Yes, you've heard it right. The guy who was inches away from becoming the NBA's MVP was once playing on a midget squad. His high school breakthrough happened when he joined the Hamilton Heights Christian Academy and went on to show his talent by averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. The good high school run landed him a spot with Kentucky, but Shai was still not considered the starting guard. Quade Green was Kentucky's main playmaker, but things would change during the midseason when the team put on a losing streak, forcing the coach to switch things up. Shai increased his stats significantly with more minutes assigned to him and declared for the 2018 NBA draft where the Charlotte Hornets took him in the first round at number 11. He was traded to the Clippers the same day and had a great summer league performance averaging 19 points, 4 assists, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.3 steals per game. Despite not having much of a roster that year, the Clippers made it to the playoffs and lost to the Warriors in 6 games in the very first round. Shai ended up 6th in the race of Rookie of the Year award behind some very good players like Sexton, Jackson Jr., Trae Young, and the winner, Luka Doncic. He was actually more than decent for a rookie, averaging 10 points, 3 assists, and 1 steal per game on 26 minutes, and a very good efficiency with 47% from the field and 36% from downtown. What could have probably been a hint of his playmaking ability was the fact he averaged only 1 turnover per game, which is crazy considering the amount of time the ball had spent in his hands. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for the NBA, the Clippers missed these signs and sent him away to OKC in an attempt to bring the first championship to their franchise by signing PG and Leonard. If you judge the move from today's perspective, it's obvious why it was a mistake given the state OKC and the Clippers are in. Shai's first year with the Thunder was great in every possible sense of the word. He went from scoring 10 points per game all the way up to 19, increased the minutes played while keeping the same turnover ratio and shot efficiency on way more attempts. The fact he was a sophomore on a team that was all in on building for the future allowed him to play without any pressure related to the season's outcome, which is probably the main reason his game flourished so much. We've seen many young talents break due to being put under the spotlight way too early, and OKC deserves all the credits for really making good investments on their young core. Aside from Josh Giddey, they've managed to keep everyone from their previous season as a #1 seed in the West and added Alex Caruso, who will help them so much in filling the defensive holes. In his year 2 with the OKC, Shai had the misfortune of suffering a tear in his plantar fascia, which ended his season after playing only 35 games. However, the Thunder front office had seen enough until that point. Shai had a great start to the season, and his game winner against Charlotte in a post-Christmas game was a perfect way to end the year, following by then career-high 42 points against the Spurs. All of this resulted in OKC offering him a 5-year rookie extension worth $172 million that turned into $207 million after he made the All-NBA team in 2023. The first signs of MVP Shai emerging were visible in year 3 with the Thunder, when he jumped to 24.5 points and 5.9 assists per game. It was also the time he started attempting almost 20 shots per game, which made it clear OKC was comfortable with him being their main guy. Unfortunately, he'd go on to have a shortened season once again, since an ankle injury stopped him at 56 games played that year. It was a tough blow for his form. 56 games that year and 35 the previous one were barely over 1 regular season played over 2 years. That might not be a huge deal for every player, but this was the guy who played 82 games in his rookie year and started in 70 games as a sophomore. However, despite the injuries, next year would prove to be a turning point for both Shai and the Oklahoma City franchise. Drafting Chet Holmgren was a massive boost for their confidence despite him not being able to play in the 2022 and 23 season due to a foot injury. They didn't draft him for what he was at that moment, but what he could become in the future, and become something he did. Shea used that season to return to his former self, starting in 68 games and increasing his stats to 31.4 points per game, 5.5 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. What made his leap even greater was how efficient he was, 51% from the field and 35% from downtown. Take into consideration that he took only 2.5 attempts beyond the line and averaged 1 3-pointer per game, making his other 28 points really come from hard work in the lane. This was also the season he nearly perfected his drive. Guarding him became almost impossible when he added that off-balance shot. The Thunder's offense was flowing perfectly when Shea was on the floor due to so many options he created with his decisions. If you were late to come up, he could punish you with a 3. If he was quicker on that first step, count that as 2 points already. Shea worked so much on his mid-range game that it was crazy how effortless some of his drives looked. When you have a guy that can pierce through the first line of defense like carving a cake, that makes life so much easier for everyone around him. That year, everyone's numbers also went up. Josh Giddey improved his scoring averages by almost 5 points, and Jalen Williams almost ended up being Rookie of the Year behind Paolo Banchero. They lost the play-in game against the Wolves, but that was just a warm-up for the next season. In 2023 and 24, Chet was back, and everyone expected OKC to have a good year, but no one was able to see it coming the way it actually played out. Shea and Chet had such a great chemistry together, and they fit perfectly with other teammates as well. OKC was a joy to watch, and Shea looked like a leader of a perfectly synced basketball orchestra. They've managed to get that prestigious #1 seed in the West, and SGA ended up second in the MVP race right behind the Joker. The loss against Dallas was heartbreaking, and if Shea and everyone else had more postseason experience, he wouldn't commit the late foul and they would have probably come out on top. However, despite the loss, the #1 reason they should be optimistic is Shea's post-game speech. Just take a look at this.
What was this like battling, one last time this year with your brothers there in that locker room?
It was fun. It's what you live for. It's what you work all summer for. It's what you try to build habits for all season. We definitely took a step in the right direction this year. Now, this moment stings. You don't ever want to lose, but there are definitely some good things that come out of it. And moments like this is what makes, champions.
Your view on the foul that kind of decided it?
I shouldn't have fouled him. We talk about it all year, the little things that go into winning games and being disciplined, and it sucks. Obviously, if I had the moment back, I wouldn't have fouled him and just let him make or miss the shot. But yeah, basketball, you win some, you lose some, you make mistakes.
Have you seen the replay?
I can't look at it.
When you say you can't look at it, what do you mean?
I don't want to look at it.
This is the guy who learns from his mistakes, and SGA with some playoffs experience will be a different beast in the future. What makes him a great leader is also the role he has with Canada's national team. This year, he'll represent his country in the Olympics in one of the most stacked groups ever. Their opponents will be Greece, Australia, and Spain. He'll have a really hard task against Giannis and Giddey, but the tournament will be such a great way to warm up for the next season. What makes Shea scary isn't just that he has skills, but his ever-improving mentality. If he notices some holes in his game in the Olympics, he'll make sure to work to fix them all the way until next year's April. Just imagine how tough playing OKC will be when you have to defend against Shea and run your offense while Caruso is poking at the ball every possession. The Thunder's basketball operations sector has really nailed every decision in the past couple of years, and they'll be in a really good situation for quite some time with all the picks they've acquired. For now, all that's left to do is enjoy the Olympics and hope Shea has an amazing tournament without any injuries, so that when October comes, he can go back to chasing the dream of becoming the NBA champion. That's it for today, Hoop Fam. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of Shea in the comments below, and how far do you think Canada can go in this year's Olympics? Thank you for watching and growing this channel. Make sure you don't miss out on more NBA stories by hitting that subscribe button. See you in the next one.